When my adopted son kicked me out, I discovered the unbelievable truth about my hidden fortune. I will never forget the day everything fell apart. The door slammed behind me, echoing through my soul. I stood there, stunned. How could he? The boy I raised, the boy I loved. It was like a punch to the gut. My heart raced, my hands trembled, my thoughts spiraled. Did I really fail him that much? I had given him everything. Late nights, soccer practices, even my last slice of pizza. I had sacrificed my dreams for him. I wanted him to succeed, to have a better life. And this was my reward? The apartment felt empty. The silence was deafening. I could still see the echoes of our laughter on the walls, the games we played on rainy days. Now all I felt was cold air biting my skin. I shuffled to the window, peering out into the street, the once vibrant world now dull. My phone buzzed, breaking the trance. A message from my sister. "How's everything, sis?" I hesitated before typing back, tears stinging my eyes. I got kicked out. A simple sentence that felt like a world of hurt. But then came her frantic reply, "You need to check your grandfather's old safe." What safe? I had never heard of a safe in our family. What could it contain? My mind raced. I remember my grandfather's old stories, the spark in his eye as he spoke of hidden treasures. Was it just a myth? Hope flickered. I wiped my tears, heart pounding. I needed to go back. I needed to pull back the layers of confusion and uncover whatever truth lay buried. I grabbed the keys and raced out of the apartment. The cool night air hit my face like a splash of reality. As I drove, the streets blurred around me. The ache in my chest morphed into a wild rush of adrenaline. What if my grandfather had left something monumental? What if, through all my struggles, I was still connected to something grander? Pulling up to the old family home, my breath caught in my throat. The house looked the same, yet different. Shadows creeping along the porch like secrets waiting to be unveiled. I stepped inside, mind swirling. The familiar smell of old wood and dust enveloped me. I ventured to his study, heart racing with every step. Bookshelves loomed, filled with stories of the past. Finally, I spotted a safe, covered in layers of dust, hidden behind decades of forgotten memories. The dial felt cold beneath my fingers. I could hear my grandfather's voice, calm and steady. "Trust the numbers, my dear." But which numbers? As I spun the dial, each click resonated within me like a heartbeat. My palms were slick with sweat, hope battling anxiety. I tried different combinations, panic creeping in. Had I waited too long? My heart sank. I felt trapped in the silence, the weight of expectations heavy on my shoulders. Then a loose thread caught my eye. I pulled it, revealing a hidden drawer beneath the safe. I opened it slowly, breath hitching. Inside lay an old envelope, yellowed with time. I held it, fingers trembling. My hands felt alive, as if the envelope pulsed with the energy of secrets long buried. What had my grandfather hidden? What kind of world awaited me on the other side of this thin paper? Just as I was about to rip it open, my phone buzzed again. A message from my son appeared. "Why did you come back?" The text sent a chill through me. Did he have no idea? Could he stop me? I felt a knot in my stomach, questions swirling like autumn leaves. I stared at that small envelope, dreading what it might reveal. Was there a fortune? Or was it just another way to shatter my already broken heart? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button. It really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The envelope trembled in my grasp, its weight pulling me back into the storm brewing within. A small moment of hesitation washed over me, my phone still glowing with my son's message, and I fought the urge to respond. Could I ask him why he had acted so harshly? why he felt the need to reject me. But I knew that wasn't the moment. I needed to find out what lay within the envelope first. With a deep breath, I peeled the paper open, every rustle amplifying the tension in the air. Inside was a letter, elegantly penned, the ink slightly faded, yet still legible. My heart thudded in sync with the words as I began to read. Dear Marion, if you are reading this, it means that you have been searching for something lost. I have always believed in the magic of stories and the treasure they hold. This letter is more than just words. It's a map, a guide to uncovering truths that may shape your future. You must know, my dear, that while riches can shine, it is love, family, and understanding that are the true fortune. The first key to unlock the next path lies where the old oak tree tilts towards the dawn. Do not underestimate the journey or the lessons it brings. With all my love, your grandfather. A rush of emotions flooded over me. The words felt like a balm to my bruised heart, yet the challenge left me reeling. This was not what I expected. A letter like this only deepened the wounds of my current situation. What was I meant to do with this guidance? How could I embark on this quest for some nebulous treasure when my own son had just thrown me into an abyss? I couldn't stay in the study much longer, the walls whispering memories of happier times. I needed air. I folded the letter carefully and tucked it into my coat pocket. Just as I turned to leave, my phone buzzed again. Another message, this time from my sister. Marion, I've heard from Mom.
She's worried about you.
My heart twisted.
Mom.
After all that had happened between us, I didn't want her to worry, but my instincts urged me to reach out. I contemplated calling her, but then I thought of my son. Could I face another rejection? Deciding to push that fear aside, I took a moment to breathe deep, gathering my courage. I stepped out into the night. The cool air greeted me, but it didn't soften the jagged edges of despair nestling within me. I drove back to my small apartment, the streets lined with flickering streetlights illuminating the path ahead. I needed to gather my thoughts. I felt caught between two worlds, the family legacy I was uncovering and the heartbreak of my son's actions. Exhausted, I pulled into my driveway and caught a movement out of the corner of my eye. There was a figure lingering in the shadows under the streetlight. My heart raced. Was it my son? Would he throw hurtful words at me again? The thought struck with such force that I felt my breath hitch. As I got closer, I recognized the silhouette. It was Mia, my neighbor, standing there with a timid smile. Hey, Marion, she called softly, lifting her hands as if in peace. I've been worried. I haven't seen you around. It's been a rough couple of days, I replied, attempting to muster a brave face. Dio, you want to talk? I brought you some cookies, she said, gesturing to the container she held. I thought it might help. Unexpected kindness cracked the walls of my simmering turmoil. The warmth of her gesture struck a chord deep in my heart. Thank you, Mia. That's really sweet of you. I took the cookies, warmth flooding my palms. As we stood there under that dim streetlight, I could feel the weight of my burdens lifting, if only slightly. Maybe sharing what I was going through could ease the pain. We sat on the front steps together, the cool night air softening the edges of silent grief. As I started to open up to her, I realized that help could sometimes come from the most unexpected places. Yet, even as we conversed, my mind kept wandering back to the letter and the cryptic words my grandfather had penned. Did it really lead to something tangible, something that could mend the rift between my son and me? But before I could voice those thoughts, my phone buzzed again. This time it wasn't a message. A call. My heartbeat quickened as I saw the name flashing on the screen. It was my son. Mama? He breathed, the sound of vulnerability almost drowned out by everything that had transpired. In that moment, I knew this could either be the beginning of healing or a continuation of pain. I hesitated, unsure of how to step into this conversation. I took a deep breath, my eyes meeting Mia's, the unspoken support guiding me. Yeah? I managed to reply, bracing myself for the storm of emotions to come. Would it shatter me? Or would it lead to a new beginning? As my heart raced, I could almost hear my grandfather's voice echoing in my mind, gently reminding me to trust in the journey ahead. Yet as I listened intently, no matter the outcome, I knew I was standing on the precipice of something irreversible. The moment hung heavy in the air, filled with the weight of unspoken words. "Mama?" His voice lingered, raw with emotion, and it cut through the dense fog of my own despair. I could barely comprehend what this call meant. Was he finally ready to open the door to reconciliation, or was it just another closure I had to face? "Mama, I am sorry," he stammered, each word wrapped in a fragile thread of regret. "I didn't mean what I said before. I don't know what came over me."
Can we talk?
I sat frozen on the steps. My heart raced as I felt a surge of hope intertwine with the pain. "Of course," I managed to whisper, and with those simple words, the walls began to tremble with the possibility of healing. "Where are you?" I added, my voice steadying as I took mental stock of the jumble of emotions coursing through me. At the park, the one we used to go to. "I need to see you." His trembling voice was a stark contrast to the fierce words he had hurled just days before. My pulse quickened as I imagined his face, the storm still brewing behind those expressive eyes. "It'll be right there." I hung up, the world around me blurring as I quickly said my goodbyes to Mia, who offered reassuring empathy as I dashed to my car. The night felt electric. Each streetlight illuminated the path forward, yet my mind was shrouded in uncertainty. What would he say? Did he realize how his rejection affected me? I clenched the steering wheel, merging between the echoes of memories, happy days at the park, his laughter mingling with the breeze, the warmth of our connection now fractured. Upon arriving at the park, I parked under a tree, its branches casting shadows that danced softly in the moonlight. I searched the area, my heart flip-flopping as I spotted him. He was sitting on a bench with his head bowed, the moonlight painting sorrow on his features. I stepped closer, the whisper of grass beneath my feet breaking the silence like fragile glass. He looked up, his eyes glistening, a tempest of emotions swirling within. "I didn't want to call you," he confessed, voice trembling as if he were unsteady on a fragile bridge. "I thought it would be easier to just cut ties, but I can't do that, Mama." Those words struck me like a lifeline thrown into stormy seas. "Why did you push me away?" I asked gently, not wanting to force him into a defensive stance.
Why now?
"I thought I needed to push you out of my life to figure out what I really wanted," he replied, his vulnerability unraveling before me like threads of silk. "But it only made me realize how lost I feel without you." As he spoke, a wave of understanding washed over me. I stepped closer, the distance between us shrinking as each word softened the hardened shell that had encased my heart. "I love you, you know that," I said quietly. "I don't want to lose you, but I need you to let me in." He closed his eyes for a moment, as if holding back a torrent of emotions threatening to break free. "I was scared you'd judge me, that I wouldn't live up to your expectations. I thought pushing you away would hurt less." "It hurt so much more," I whispered, tears surfacing unbidden. "We are meant to face these storms together, not apart. You have always been my greatest joy, my reason to fight." Suddenly, I remembered the letter tucked within my pocket, the map, the promise of love and understanding, guiding us through our ordeal. "Your grandfather believed in the beauty of stories and the treasure they hold," I said softly, feeling compelled to share. "What if this is our story? One that demands courage, forgiveness, and finding our way back to each other." He looked at me with a glimmer of hope, stirring in the depths of his eyes. "Mama, I want to be part of that story," he said, his voice filled with a determination I hadn't heard before. "I want to find what we've lost." Just then, the night felt charged with something settling deep in my bones. I thought of the old oak tree, where the first key lay waiting. It felt symbolic now, almost as if it were beckoning us to uncover the strength we once had. But as the hopeful revelation settled between us, my phone buzzed. Suddenly, piercing through the quiet night. My heart sank as I glanced at the screen, an unknown caller, not one I wanted to entertain. But abstraction clung to me, curiosity gnawing at my insides. I hesitated, torn between the conversation that was finally blossoming and the intrusive annoyance of this call interrupting our moment. "Answer it?" he suggested, a hint of urgency in his voice. My fingers hovered over the screen, uncertainty swirling within me. What if this call held news that could either shatter our healing or push it further? I glanced back at him, and for the first time, I saw his determination matched by my own. Whatever this call contained, we would face it together. With resolve, I pressed the answer button, my heart pounding with a mix of dread and hope.
Hello?
I spoke tentatively, my pulse quickening at the unfurling mystery. Marion? The voice was unfamiliar, yet a weight was behind it. I have something important to discuss regarding your grandfather, and just like that, the veil of uncertainty closed back around us, suspending our moment of clarity in chilling air. Whatever revelation awaited me, I knew it might change our paths forever. The air crackled with uncertainty as I stood there, phone in hand, my heart caught in a tumultuous storm. Jude remained on the bench, his eyes wide, mirroring the chaos brewing inside of me. The words that escaped my lips felt heavy, laden with an invisible weight that could shatter the fragile hope we had just begun to nurture. Marion, please listen closely, the voice insisted, slicing through my thoughts like an arrow. There are matters concerning your grandfather's estate that are far more complicated than we previously believed. Complicated how? I asked, trying to steady my breath, the looming shadows of the park suddenly feeling overly oppressive. Have you ever heard of a lost heir? The gravity of the question hung in the air, turning my insides to ice. What do you mean? I felt the world shift beneath my feet, memories of my grandfather becoming a distant echo. He had always spoken of his life's work, of treasures buried not merely in mere objects, but in knowledge, legacy, and family ties. He didn't mention anything about being, what did you call it? An heir. A hidden heir that remained undiscovered till now. It seems your grandfather was involved in matters of legacy far beyond what you can imagine. I'm sure you have questions. As the voice continued to unravel the layers of truth, I looked toward Jude, seeking solace in his presence. But I was met with uncertainty in his eyes, his brow furrowed as he processed my turmoil. Deep down, I could feel an insidious fear creeping back, threatening to shatter the delicate truce we had just established. The wrath of my past decisions looming over us like a dark cloud. I don't even know what the inheritance means anymore, I said, half to myself. Our connection felt fractured again, pulled taut by revelations unearthing buried secrets. What if it's something that changes everything? Trust me when I say, it might be the key to understanding your family's past and your own future, the voice droned, distant yet insistent. But you will need more than hope to navigate this. More than hope, my thoughts raced, the air around me thick with unspoken fears. My heart longed for Jude's hand to clasp mine, to anchor me against the uncertainty swirling in the depths of the night. Marion, I need to meet with you. It's imperative. An unexpected urgency coursed through my veins as I processed the implications behind those words. Where? I asked, the weight of the decision heavy on my lips. Tomorrow at noon, Café Marriott. Bring Jude if you can. It's essential for both of you. The call ended abruptly, leaving me surrounded by languishing silence. My gaze drifted back to Jude, who had stood up now, his expression a mixture of worry and confusion. What was that about? He ventured cautiously, stepping closer, instinctively grasping the bench's edge for support. I exhaled slowly, trying to ground myself amidst the chaos. It was about my grandfather. There are things I need to learn, things that will affect both of us. His brow creased further, anxiety deepening the shadows on his face. I thought we were here to talk about us, Mama. About fixing everything. I thought so too, but now my voice trailed off, realizing the deep chasm that had suddenly opened between us again. This could lead to answers about my family, maybe even feelings I've buried deep inside. But I need to focus on us first. As if sensing the emotional turmoil flickering in my heart, he stepped forward, enveloping me in a hesitant embrace. We'll navigate this together, okay? Just don't push me away again. The warmth of his embrace filled the gaps of my heart momentarily, but the looming revelations nipped at the edges of our moment. I felt the strong heartbeat of hope pulsating within Jude's hope that we could mend what had threatened to break us apart. Yet, as that moment rippled with connection, a chilling thought flashed through my mind. What if these revelations drive us further apart? The very idea startled me, but it pricked at my heart nonetheless. "Well, face it together," he reaffirmed, pulling back to meet my gaze, eyes unwavering.
I
"Can't let anything come between us again, Mama." As we stood there amongst the shadows, a sudden rustle in the distance caught our attention. A figure moved beyond the trees, half hidden in the darkness. My instinct screamed at me to look closer. Something in the way they moved felt hauntingly familiar. "Do you see that?" I whispered, pointing cautiously toward the silhouette. Jude turned, his expression shifting from warmth to concern. "What is it?" As the figure moved into the light, recognition surged through me, a revelation that sent goosebumps prickling down my spine. It was a woman, her features strikingly reminiscent of someone I thought I had lost, to Tamia, ghost from my past who held secrets I had long buried. "Who is that?" Jude asked, his voice low and laced with worry. I don't know," I replied, part of me wanting to flee, while another fought to lean into the unknown like a moth drawn to flame. With every step that mysterious figure took toward us, I felt the threads of our story tighten, intertwining with questions that would soon demand answers I was not sure I was ready to face. And as the moment of uncertainty cracked open once more, I could feel the stories yet to unfold heavy in the air around us. Whatever we were about to uncover, I braced myself for the impact it would have, not just on our relationship, but on the hidden legacy of my family that was beginning to unravel painfully at my feet. The figure moved closer, and with every inch she traversed, a languid tapestry of emotions unfurled within me: hope, dread, nostalgia, and an undercurrent of recognition that felt almost electric. Jude remained at my side, silent but vigilant, his presence a comforting fixture against the swirling maelstrom of uncertainties. "Marion," the woman called, her voice carrying a familiar cadence that pricked at my memories like thorns on a rosebush. She stepped into the light, revealing the contours of her face, which danced between age and youth. Time had woven its stories on her skin, but those eyes, dark and piercing, held a spark I had always known. "Martha?" I breathed, an unsteady tremor punctuating my words. My grandmother's sister had slipped from my mind like a dream, a shadow I'd never expected to confront. The woman who once cradled me in her arms, who would tell tales of our family's heritage, now stood before me, an unwelcome specter of a past I had long thought buried. "Marion, you've grown," she said, her lips curving into an enigmatic smile that both soothed and unsettled me. "And Jude, I presume? How lovely to finally meet you." Her gaze shifted to Jude, who regarded her with wary curiosity, unsure of how to respond to this unexpected intrusion into our fragile moment. "What are you doing here, Martha?" I found the strength to ask, though the crack in my voice betrayed my unease. "You disappeared for years." Her laughter was soft, almost melodic. But the winds shift, dear girl. I've come to speak of things far beyond my absence, matters that are intertwined with your grandfather's legacy and yours." Jude reached for my hand, his thumb brushing against mine, anchoring me to the present as my heart raced. I wanted to shield him from the impending storm, to cocoon our fragile bond in warmth before the tempest of truths wreaked havoc. "We were just on our way to meet someone about the estate," I stammered. Martha's eyes glimmered with an understanding that felt profound and alarming. "I suspect it's the same person I've come to discuss with you. You see, dear Marion, you are not just an heir to riches and property. There are souls bound to this narrative that demand attention." "What do you mean?" I pressed, feeling the air grow denser around us. "Your grandfather left behind more than material wealth. There are secrets buried in the family history that cannot be forgotten." She paused, glancing at Jude with a softness that told me she understood the flickering connection between us. "If you wish to grasp the fullness of what's at stake, you must be prepared for the truth." Jude's fingers intertwined with mine tighter, offering me an anchor amidst the swelling tides of uncertainty. "We can handle it together," he murmured gently, always attuned to my insecurities. Yet currents of doubt gnawed at me. If this truth drove a wedge between us, splintering the connection we had begun to rebuild. "Marion," Martha continued, her voice wrapping around me like a chilling wind. There's more. The lost heir is a real entity, and challenge awaits in your journey to uncover what lies beneath your grandfather's legacy. There are forces at play that you will need to confront with or without Jude. What forces? The question slipped from my lips, thick with apprehension, competing interests. She stated simply, her eyes darkening. Your family is bound in a web of alliances and animosities that date back generations. Some will do anything to ensure that the truth remains hidden. I could feel the ground shift beneath me, the tremors of her words unsettling the foundation of what I believed. You're saying there are people out there who want to stop us. Exactly. There are those who wish to silence the truth, Marion. Are you willing to brave the storm? Because it will take more than hope to illuminate the darkness. My pulse quickened, dreadful images of confrontation dancing in my mind like specters. Could I truly wield the strength to not only confront my past, but also protect what Jude and I were trying to build together? Before I could respond, a sudden commotion erupted from the edge of the park. A faint shouting grew louder, slices of panic stitched into the fabric of the night. My heart lurched as I turned to see a group of figures barreling toward us, their silhouettes sharp against the glowing backdrop of streetlights. What is happening? Jude asked, his eyes darting between the approaching strangers and Martha. Stay close, I said urgently, pulling him near me. Martha's demeanor shifted, her slumbering energies sparking to life. They've found us, she whispered, an unsettling calm washing over her. But I didn't say yes, my voice fractured under the weight of my impending decision, the finality of a truth I had yet to embrace pressing against my chest like a lead weight. The shadows surrounding us thickened, and as the figures drew nearer, I felt the gaping chasm of the unknown yawning before me. Martha, I shouted, but my voice was lost in the swell of confusion as the urgency of the moment engulfed us. As the figures moved within reach, I recognized one among them, and the world fell silent around me. A familiar face I hadn't seen in years, a face that could shatter everything we'd been piecing together with random shards of insight and courage. Mama? The voice carried across the distance, echoing with despair, unraveling my tightly knit emotions and leaving me suspended between past and present, between fear and hope. And in that instant, I grasped the harrowing truth that the journey we now faced was no longer just my night, was an expedition into the heart of family secrets that could alter the very essence of who we thought we were. The sight of my mother, her unmistakable face etched with the lines of years and sorrow, struck me with a force I wasn't prepared for. Joy and anguish collided, sending ripples of anxiety through the fragile construct of my newfound reality. Mama, I shouted again, my heart racing. It felt like a call into the void, a risk, a longing for connection that had been missing for so long. The group faltered at my outburst, eyes darting between USA, mix of curiosity and apprehension brewing in the air. Mama, what are you doing here? I hesitated, suddenly aware that this moment could spiral into chaos. The last time we had crossed paths was during a whirlwind of accusations, each of us entrenched in our own Batliza misunderstanding that had carved a rift through our family. Jude squeezed my hand tighter, the warmth of his presence a stark contrast to the chill sweeping through the night. Is everything okay? He whispered, concern threading through his voice like a lifeline. My mother's expression morphed from shock to urgency. I never thought I'd find you here, Marion. Not like this, she said, her tone weaving rich textures of care and fear. You shouldn't speak with her. She's dangerous. Dangerous? I stammered, the confusion thickening. Martha is my family, and so are we, said a man who stood slightly behind my mother, vigilantly optimistic, yet shadowed by the anxiety crowding the air. Marion, you must listen to your mother, he pleaded, his gaze focused and unwavering, revealing a connection far deeper than just familial ties. I remembered him as a distant uncle, someone who had long been reduced to an echo in the hall of my childhood memories. Why now? Why did you come? I struggled to piece together the fractured threads of our relationship. Could I trust this unfamiliar rendition of my family, one that bore no resemblance to the people I had known? "We've been watching, Marion," my mother began, her voice conspiratorial and frayed. "After the passing of your grandfather, we learned things I should have told you long before. But they're complicated." Complicated? Just like everything else? I felt the sarcasm succinctly slip from my lips.
You left me.
"You and Dad, Marion, please," she urged, her voice rising with each desperate word.
You don't understand.
"We had to protect you. There were things at play that we couldn't control, and your answer was to abandon me?" The hurt surged, venomous yet honest. It had crested high enough that I could taste the bitterness of betrayal again, that familiar sting pulsing through the veins of my heart. "Mama," I began again, softer this time. "You're telling me that there's danger? That we are somehow in the path of something I can't see?" She nodded, the weight of the truth pressing heavily upon her shoulders.
Yes.
"Your grandfather's estate is more than it seems. It holds secrets that have made dangerous enemies. You were meant to be kept away from all of it, far from the shadows." Jude exhaled sharply, his eyes darting to Martha, who stood unmoving, her expressions unreadable. She too was caught in the writhing coils of this newfound truth. A chill wound through me as the gears of my mind turned. "Allegiances and betrayals, Marion. That's the world we're stepping into," Martha cautioned, her tone slipping from concern to a kind of ominous resolve. "I came to prepare you, to help you understand your place within this legacy."
But now?
She squinted into the shadows where more figures concealed themselves, looming threats pulsing under the cloak of darkness. "This is not just about old grudges or family secrets," my mother interjected, stepping closer, drawing me further into this intricate web spun by unseen hands. "It's about survival. If there are enemies, we must be united. You'll need all of us. Are you saying I should trust you?" The words felt like a challenge as I searched her eyes for something tangible, something that tied her to the person I once loved unconditionally. Yet beneath the layers of betrayal lay the faint glimmer of hope, a flicker I dared not extinguish. "Please," she implored, her voice cracking as the weight of regret clung to her measures. "Your grandfather's legacy is intertwined with dark forces that threaten everything you love." In that moment, it felt as if the very air shifted, the weight of their words beginning to settle into my bones. The stakes had risen higher than I could have ever anticipated. A chill struck through the night. Shadows lengthened and darkened the corners of our shared reality. "Mama, if you're here, where is Dad?" The question slipped from my lips, a fragile thread against the chaos swirling around us. Her face twisted with fear and determination, as though I had probed an old wound that refused to heal. She hesitated, swallowing hard.
"He's trying to set things right."
"But you need to leave with me now." Just as the urgency surged through her words, the group of figures hesitated, their intent darkening as they veiled closer. A low rumble of voices began to fill the space, growing louder, closer. "Mama." "Now wait," I called out, desperation flooding my voice as my mother turned sharply, dragging me towards uncertainty. "Martha, what's happening?" Jude asked, pulling me back to him. "I cannot lose you, Marion. Not again." My mother's plea caused my heart to clench. She seemed torn, caught between past regrets and present dangers, and that was when it happened, the fastest instant of eternity compressed into a pinpoint of dread. The shadows reached a critical mass, and a figure stepped forward, their gaze fixed upon me with a certainty that struck my heart like a dagger. "Leave her out of this," the figure stated, voice smooth yet filled with an electric menace. The air thickened, mingled with unspoken tensions and oppressive weight, exposing the fractures of loyalty and deceit laid bare before us. The pathway was narrowing, choices were being made, hearts were entwined in uncertainty, and truth emerged from the raw fabric of our past, yet nothing could prepare me for the revelation that awaited at dawn. The ground shifted beneath us as the danger seemed to come alive, enveloping us in a cold embrace. It was then I understood a battle wasn't just poised to begin, it had already started, and without realizing it, I was at the heart of everything, the very essence of a legacy written in shadows, and I was about to unveil a truth that could change the destiny of everyone I loved forever. The shadows danced under the moonlight, the tension so thick it seemed to wrap around us, like a suffocating shroud. Panic surged through my veins as I felt the weight of my mother's hand clutching my wrist, firm yet trembling, urging me to follow her away from the encroaching darkness. But I hesitated, the fear of what lay behind outweighed by the need to uncover the truth that lingered just beyond my grasp. "Marion, please." My mother implored again, her voice laced with desperation. Each syllable tore through me, a reminder of the years lost and the fractures that carried us to this moment. I glanced at Jude, whose eyes were wide with confusion and concern, yet he exuded an unwavering resolve that grounded me. Before I could respond, the figure at the forefront stepped into the light, revealing a face that sent a cascade of memories flooding back sharp, jagged memories that had no place in this moment of clarity. It was Gregory, my father's longtime associate, a man I had only met a handful of times but knew enough to understand that his presence could tip the balance of truth into chaos. "Marion," he said, his voice a mix of authority and something puzzlingly softer, as though he was addressing a child rather than an adult woman. "You must listen to your mother. There are forces that will stop at nothing to take advantage of your naivety. What do you know that we don't?" Martha's voice cut through the stormy air, her protective stance evident as she squared up to Gregory, daring him to speak without doubt. He smirked, an unsettling curl of his lips that spoke of secrets hidden within shadows. "Oh, but it isn't just naivety, is it? There are truths buried under the surface that you've yet to uncover about your grandfather, your lineage, even your father's true motivations." With each word, dread coiled tighter around my heart. I glanced at my mother, searching for the answers hidden behind her wall of regret. "What did he mean?" I whispered, barely able to push the question past the weight of betrayal I felt. "It doesn't matter now," she cried, anxiety rising in pitch as the moment thickened. "All that matters is that we get you out of here. You are in grave danger, and I cannot lose you again." Gregory laughed, a hollow sound devoid of warmth. "She speaks of danger, yet she hardly knows the half of it. Marion, your father's ambitions extend far beyond what you've been led to believe. The estate isn't just a legacy, it's a battleground, and you are its key." "Stop," I shouted. My heart thundered in my chest. My emotions surged dangerously, oscillating between anger, fear, and a desperate thirst for understanding. How could I be essential to a battle I didn't even know I was fighting? "What battles? What legacy?" "Your grandfather," Gregory stated, his tone shifting from mockery to serious intent. "He carved a path through darkness, one that others wished to claim for themselves. Your father needed you out of the picture, safe, while pursuing his own desires. But now that your grandfather has passed, the game changes. You are the focal point, a pawn in a larger scheme. Enough!" My mother's voice broke through the chaos, a sharp contrast to the way her hands trembled. "You won't turn this into something it isn't, Gregory. You don't know her. You've never known her. I am your only ally now, Marion," Gregory continued, ignoring her. "Those who wish to inherit what your grandfather left behind will stop at nothing to secure their place. The only way to protect yourself is to embrace this legacy fully." "To embrace a legacy of darkness?" Martha's voice was strained as though she was holding back tears and fury, a fragile wall standing between us all and this unfolding chaos. "That's not a choice you should have to make, and oh, it isn't," I murmured, my heart racing with the weight of impending doom. A legacy I had never understood, and a darkness that loomed over us like a tempest. "But what can I do? We must return to the estate." My mother's gaze met mine, and for the first time that night, I saw vulnerability lace her expressiona reflection of the fear that shadowed her heart. "We have no
choice.
They will come for you, for whatever they believe you've inherited. We have to confront this together." "But you said," my voice faltered, a flicker of doubt encircling me. "You said those secrets could be dangerous. Why subject me to that?" Because she took a steadying breath, because sometimes the only way to reclaim your life is to confront the ghosts of your past. As her words settled between us, the noise of the gathering storm deepened, and within the shadows, I sensed the presence of something darker. A footfall echoed behind us, the sound vibrating through the tension. My breath hitched as I turned, the hair on the back of my neck prickling at the anticipation of what was to come. Marion, it's time. It was Jude, stepping forward, his eyes aflame with determination. Whatever lies ahead, we'll face it together. I end that moment. Solidarity ignited within me, a flicker of warmth against the encroaching shadows. But before I could vocalize a response, a piercing sound sliced through the air, a gunshot muffled by the night's cloak, and it shattered the fragile atmosphere we had just built. I whipped around. The contrast of light against darkness fractured before me as chaos erupted, shouts spilling into the air like spilled ink. The very ground seemed to shake underfoot with the weight of impending doom. I gasped, realization descending upon me like a shroud. Nothing would ever be the same again. I was thrust into this battle, not because I chose it, but because it had chosen me. And as I stood teetering on the brink of uncertainty, I understood one undeniable truth. I was caught in a web of secrets that reached far beyond my understanding, and I was not just a victim, but a pivotal player in a game that could cost us everything. Run. My mother shouted, pulling me toward the shadows as chaos enveloped the night. But the clarity of my fate was cemented. I could no longer look away from the revelations waiting to unfurl with the dawn, for I was not just Marion anymore. I was part of a legacy that demanded to be reckoned with, a battle that had only just begun. The ground beneath me felt unsteady as we fled deeper into the shadows, the horror of the gunshots still echoing in my mind. Panic coursed through my veins, twisting my insides, but it was juxtaposed against an unexpected resolve that ignited within me. I wasn't just a bystander any longer. I was a part of something great, a legacy imbued with shadows and secrets. Marion, stay close. My mother urged, her grip on my wrist an anchor amidst the swirling chaos of voices and movement behind us. Jude kept watch at our flank, martial in his presence, ready to defend what he held dear. The sight of him stirred something inside me, a warmth amidst the raw fear. It was a flicker of hope that this darkness could be faced as a collective force. As we sprinted towards the woods lining the edge of the estate, my mind raced with the implications of Gregory's words. A pawn in a greater game? A legacy of darkness? I grasped at the threads of understanding that lay scattered throughout the tangled web of my existence, but each new revelation only deepened the tumult. What did my father truly want? What horrors awaited me at the estate? With every step, doubt crashed against resolve. My heart pounded in rhythm with the uncertainty that filled the air. What was I running to, and what or who were we running from? The oppressive nature of these thoughts threatened to weigh me down, like an anchor pulling me under. Martha! A shout rang out from behind, slicing through the night. The voice was familiar, yet twisted with animosity. It was Gregory again, relentless in his pursuit. You can't shield Marion from the truth forever. I glanced back and saw the fear flickering in my mother's eyes. The anxiety was palpable, tugging at my heartstrings. He's right, Marion, she said, her breath coming in short gasps. We need to know what we're up against, who we're up against. Enough, let's just keep moving. Jude sounded like a rock amidst the storm, but I caught a glimpse of his own concern reflected in his furrowed brow. My heart ached for him. He was suffering this burden beside me, willingly stepping into the unknown for the sake of our connection. We burst through the treeline, the hidden path guiding us deeper into the wooded sanctuary. My mother halted suddenly, the silhouette of the quivering leaves etching a picture of despair on her face, as she turned to me. This isn't just about your inheritance, Marion. It's about your life. Others are willing to kill for it. I swallowed hard. But how can I have a life when everything I thought I knew is crumbling around me? Her gaze softened, and for a brief moment, I found solace in the flicker of love buried in her eyes. There will be sacrifices. But sometimes, we must lose everything to find who we really are. A flash of light in the distance, a sharp contrast against the purity of the night, pulled my attention. What is that? I pointed. It's the estate, she replied, her voice low. They're looking for us. When they find us, I won't let that happen. Jude's voice rose, fierce and unwavering. We'll make it back. I swear as we continued to move, shadows loomed from behind. My feet faltered slightly at the thought of Gregory chasing us through the underbrush, but I pressed on, following the tangled trail before us. I needed to shake off the weight of burdens I didn't yet fully understand. In the quiet moments, I caught snippets of exchanges, fragments of the past echoing in my mind. Memories of laughter at family gatherings, the vibrant colors of birthdays, and teachings woven in love. Yet they melded with darker images, whispers of betrayal and heartache that seemed to dance through my declaration of trust. Suddenly, a small clearing emerged, dappled with moonlight, giving us a brief respite from the encroaching chaos. I breathed in deeply, a moment of stillness settling over us. But the tranquility was short-lived as a chilling realization gripped my heart. What if they get to you first? I breathed, my eyes wide with the realization that we might be racing towards danger rather than escaping it. Mama. My small voice barely slipped through. My lips, the fear creeping up like icy fingers. What if we aren't strong enough? She knelt beside me, her face carved with determination and desperation. We have no choice but to be strong. People will betray us, push against us, but we must remember we have each other. But even as she spoke, a shadow flickered in my periphery. We weren't alone. The threat felt tangible, sneering from the edges of reality, waiting just out of reach. And then a familiar voice sliced through the night, one I had only heard in dreams. Marion, I'm so sorry it's come to this. I turned, heart lurching as my world shifted once again. There he stood, my father, framed by darkness with storm clouds pooling in his eyes. The very man who I thought had abandoned us now appeared before me, his intentions veiled in shadow. What are you doing here? I demanded, incredulous. You left us. I had to protect you. His voice was a gravelly remorse that pulled me in, yet distrust overwhelmed the instinct to embrace. But there's no time for explanation. They're coming for you. It's worse than you think. You need to trust me. Trust was a currency I was fast running out of, yet whose hands were extended before me now. Would his presence obscure the shards of my reality, or could he hold the key to unlocking the truth buried in shadows? Desperation clung to the air like fog, thick and heavy. As confusion swirled, my mother gasped beside me, fury and heartbreak surging to the surface. You don't belong here. Not now, not ever. Yet as these words rolled off her tongue, my heart fluttered with the inescapable truth that his arrival would only stoke the flames of conflict. I gasped, feeling the weight of decisions heavier than any I had made, looming like an impending storm, and so the night deepened, shadows closing in as all we clung to hung by a thread. What truths would be unveiled? And at what cost? Would I sacrifice my heart for answers, or would I allow the delicate threads of hope to fray beneath the burden of hidden legacies? The answer lingered in the air, unspoken but omnipresent, as the shadows condensed around us, and with every breath, I stood at the precipice of destiny, unsure who would emerge from the darkness, and who might be lost forever. The night enveloped us like a cloak of myriad horrors. My father standing before me created an urgent sense of foreboding that soaked into my skin. I felt like a marionette entangled in strings I couldn't see, wavering between rebellion and blind faith in fleeting kinship. Marion, listen to me, he urged, stepping closer, the shadows swallowing the edges of his frame. Each breath he took was steeped in sorrow but also resolve, reminding me of the echoes of my childhood clutched in the recesses of memory. Would those moments worth fighting for slip through my fingers once more? It's not what you think. Then what is it? I pressed, my voice thick with emotion, the weight of the world hanging heavily on my shoulders. I deserve to know. Once, long ago, I made a choice to protect you, and your Mother, a choice that led to pain. Pain for us all, he said, extending his hand toward me, but hesitation thrummed through my being. You must understand, I don't want excuses. My voice cracked. You abandoned us. His hand fell as he looked away, pain etched deeply into his features. Everything I did was to keep you safe. I was playing peace in a dangerous game, Marion. A game that now seeks to reclaim you, The tempest of emotions inside me churned like wild waves. A part of me wanted to scream, to rail against this man who had defined absence and betrayal, while another felt the yearning pull for clarity. I needed to fill the gaps in my heart what had really transpired in our family's past that led us to this night. Before I could voice my next question, a guttural sound broke through the stillness. It came from the direction we had fled. Panic coursed through me, and my mother positioned herself protectively in front of me. Jude fell into a stance, ready to defend, but our defenses felt futile against the chaos unfurling in the dark. "I can help you," my father said, desperation perforating his tone. "They won't stop looking for you. If they capture you, everything is lost. What do you know?" I spat, flaring emotions igniting the edges of my fear. "And who are they?" "They're the ones who control the shadows," he replied, his gaze darting in the direction of the sound. "They've unleashed ancient secrets. They know about the legacy you carry. Stop talking in riddles," I shouted, grasping at the frayed ends of my shattered trust, my mind racing through every concocted tale my mother had whispered about our lineage. "What legacy? What are you hiding from me?" "They want what belongs to you," he replied, shifting to look at Jude and my mother, his face pale, as if acknowledging their disbelief. "You were always to inherit more than just a fortune.
There are things tied to you, Marion.
An identity that transcends material wealth. A power, a burden." And then the shadows around us shifted ominously, as if drawn by some unseen force. My grip on my mother's hand tightened, her worried eyes reflecting the fractured pieces of hope coiling within me. "Run," Jude spat, eyes flaring with determination as the shadows materialized, taking shape into menacing figures emerging from the depths of the woods. Now, as if painted by strokes of cruelty, they advanced with a methodical elegance, embodying the very darkness that haunted our every step. A part of me instinctively wanted to obey Jude's command, to flee, but the urge to confront the truth curdled within. "Stay behind me," my mother cried, pulling me closer as she positioned herself as a shield. I could feel the clash of emotions entwining around us: fear, longing, a deep-rooted desire for truth. But was it worth confronting those who sought to obliterate my very existence? "Marion," my father shouted, scrambling toward me. "You have to trust me. Please." Even in that moment of impending danger, my heart thudded wildly, a cacophony of love and betrayal. Could I stand on the edge, my footing tenuous, while the storm brewed within? Would I risk another betrayal for a chance to see the hidden face of my legacy? As they closed in, my father's eyes flickered with something unnameable: fear, desperation, an earnest plea that surged through the darkness.
"Take this."
He threw something at my feet, a small, intricately carved pendant that glimmered in the moonlight, the shadows retreating momentarily, as if to honor it. My heart pounded as I picked it up, the weight of it a jolt of destiny, the enigma wrapped around my bloodline shimmering faintly in the night. But as I grasped it, a piercing scream erupted nearby, followed by the urgent shuffling of feet, shouts of anger mingling with cries for help. Even the shadows seemed to thrum with anticipation for the chaos that lay ahead. In that moment of terror and uncertainty, an unsettling déjà vu enveloped me, as if the very essence of fate had collided with our present. I was no longer a pawn. Something deep within me stirred, raising the stakes higher than I had intended, and just as my heart whispered for courage, a piercing realization thudded against my temple like a hammer striking iron. The person who screamed was not a stranger, but someone entwined in the turmoil of my past, a fragment of my hidden story, a revelation that would shake us all to our very core. "Marion, we need to move," my father insisted fiercely, pulling me from the spiraling corners of my mind. But what lay ahead swelled like an incoming tide, each crashing wave carrying the weight of promises broken and truths yet to surface. And as the darkness deepened, the question lingered: would I risk it all to unravel the enigma wrapped around my life, or would I fall beneath the awakening shadows that sought to consume everything I loved? The shadows loomed closer, twisting like tendrils of smoke around me, muting the world into shades of uncertainty. My heart raced as the echoes of my father's betrayal ricocheted through my mind. He was there, pleading for my trust, while the specter of danger closed in relentlessly. The urge to flee surged within me, but the pendant, now warm in my grip, ignited something powerful in knowledge that I could no longer deny the truth or my place in this storm. Marion. My mother's voice cracked against the rising panic, urgent and filled with the weight of love. Don't let them take you from us. The pendant pulsed in my hand, the intricate carvings glinting under the ghostly light. I had always longed for connection, for answers, but those very desires had propelled me into this chaotic abyss. But now, faced with the looming darkness, I realized the time for retreat had passed. This was my moment to step into the light, to reclaim the pieces of myself I had lost. I won't let you take me, I shouted into the void, my voice fierce, woven with a newfound resolve. Jude's hand tightened around mine, his strength grounding me. We face this, Marion. Together. His conviction was like a lighthouse in the fog, allowing me to glimpse the path forward. Surrounded by shadows, I found clarity among the calls for escape and the chaos tangling around us. Stand behind me. I turned to my mother, locking eyes, my heart igniting with the fire of a hidden legacy yearning to be seen. We need to confront this together. All of us. Surprise flickered across my father's face, a mix of worry and pride reflected in the lines on his worn features. What do you mean? This legacy is mine, I declared, the pendant's warmth seemingly knitting itself to my heartbeat. I felt the weight of my bloodline coursing through me, a powerful thread binding the past, present, and future. Whatever you all have hidden must come to light together. The shadows hesitated, swirling restlessly as if caught off guard by my declaration. And then, in a thunderous eruption, they surged forward, poised to envelop us all in darkness. Instinct overtook hesitation as I clutched the pendant tightly, its energies leaping through me, as if sensing my resolve. The pendant flared vividly, casting a warm, golden light that cut through the oppressive gloom. The shadows recoiled, shrieking as the light danced, illuminating faces half hidden in darkness, menacing figures now exposed for what they truly were. Who are you? I called out, voice impassioned against a backdrop of doubt. What do you want? Through the crowd of silhouettes stepped one who bore the unmistakable intensity of wrath, a woman whose presence birthed an unsettling recognition. You think you can stand against us, child of the legacy? She spat, and the beauty of her features fell away like a mask, revealing the darkness that pulsed beneath. You know nothing of the power you possess. Perhaps I know more than you think, I countered, fortifying my stance, the pendant still pulsing against my skin, reminding me of the light I could wield. Each member of my family carries a burden, and a Legacia lineage stronger than shadows. I won't back down. For the first time, the night trembled as the figures wavered under the warmth of my conviction, their certainty faltering. There was power in vulnerability, power in standing united against the impending chaos. A tense silence settled in the air, so thick it felt tangible, before my mother stepped forward, her voice transcending the fear. You do not belong in our lives, nor will you dictate our futures. We are stronger together. The shadows recoiled, but the woman smiled, a chilling smile that sent shivers down my spine, revealing the true ferocity hidden within. You believe you've won? The legacy is not simply yours to embrace. It belongs to those who have claimed it, no matter the price. With a flick of her wrist, the darkness swelled, rippling toward us like an avalanche. Instinctively, Jude pulled me backward, but I stood firm, lifting the pendant to catch the brightness within. We are the light of our legacy,
I
proclaimed, my voice echoing with defiance. As the wave crashed upon us, the light erupted forth, piercing through the oppressive shadows as if they were made of smoke. The air crackled with energy, igniting within us the power to defy all that sought to smother our light. Stronger than I had ever known, I stood grounded, surrounded by my familiar mother's eyes shimmering with tears and hope, my father's stance proud and unyielding. Together, I cried, feeling the warmth of love enveloping me. We rise together, With that, the light surged like a beacon of hope, resisting all darkness. It ebbed and flowed, enveloping us, chasing the shadows into corners of fear, reclaiming the space our love had fought to define. And in that moment, clarity washed over me like a fresh dawn, realization that our bond was not an anchor, but the wings that would lift us from despair. The face of the woman twisted in rage as she dissolved into nothingness, the shadows scattering like leaves in the wind. For the first time, the air felt lighter, a release from the chains that had bound us for generations. "Is it over?" Jude whispered, his voice trembling with disbelief. "I don't know," I replied, breathless yet emboldened, "but we've taken the first step." I looked at my parents, my heart quietly mending the fractures of the past. "Whatever comes next, we'll face it together." As the light purified the remnants of darkness around us, we stood together, the weight of uncertainty replaced with the clarity of our chosen path. It was a journey still unfolding, and the questions surrounding our family legacy remained. Together, we would uncover those truths. Promising to lift the veil on our family's past, I pressed the warm pendant against my heart, realizing it symbolized not just the ties of lineage, but the bonds of love woven deeper than any legation inheritance that thrived in the shared moments of unity, strength, and courage. It was as if the very universe had shifted. The dawn was now breaking with an unobstructed light slicing through the remnants of night. I breathed in the possibility of a future unmarred by shadows, ready to step boldly into the light of a new beginning. And as I turned to lead my family into the burgeoning morning, I felt the whispers of stories once buried rising within mysteries we would unearth together, revealing the roots that would forever strengthen us against the storms of the world. Together, I murmured into the fresh dawn, knowing the true treasure of our legacy lay not in riches, but in the light of love we finally embraced. "And that," I whispered softly, looking into my parents' eyes filled with unbroken determination, and to Jude's warm, supportive gaze, "how we rewrite our story."